If you're tired of the standard business and marketing fundamentals, frameworks, and funnels, you need a little mischief. Get ready to turn up the volume on the CEO Mischief Maker podcast, where you access conversations with seasoned business owners who have smashed through mindset barriers, innovated the standard boring business and marketing playbooks, and executed future-paced strategies with bleeding-edge tools and tactics to micro-fail their way into massive success and growth. We are Mindset Impact Strategic Catalysts helping innovative entrepreneurs focus. We are CEO Mischief Makers. Ready to make a little mischief? Hey, CEO Mischief Makers. Welcome to the conversation. I have someone who has been a part of a mastermind with me, oh my goodness, since January of 2022, Evelyn Eccard. Hello there, Evelyn. How are you?
Oh, good. How are you?
I am fan-stinking-tastic. You know, I got to wake up today. The sun is shining. It's going to be 105 here. That's not great, but that's okay. We'll survive. But yeah, you and I have been in a mastermind together, and that's how we met. And we finally got to meet in person in Denver. We are in Mike Kim's mastermind, and I'm so grateful. I'm just so grateful for people like yourself and those of us who are brave souls to open up our lives to other people, right? That's what it feels like, doesn't it?
It's so true. I mean, just being part of the mastermind and getting to know other people and then discovering how, we could do things better, right? Like having those conversations. And sometimes it's very vulnerable, but I think we walk away with just richness as a result of people just, leaning in and having those discussions. So I love it. And
I love it too. I do.
I love yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And it really, I do think of it as bravery, because we really do. In order you're going to get out of a mastermind what you put in. And if you are brave enough to be vulnerable, I guarantee you will not be met with competition or judgment or any of those things. If you're in the right mastermind, you will be met with kindness and openness and love and advice and caring. And I can't imagine my life without the collective mind, right? That's what it feels like. It feels like you have a collective mind to help you grow. So let's talk about that. First off, kind of introduce yourself and let us know who you are and what you do. Let's start there, and then we'll dive into mindset.
Absolutely. So I'm a coach and trainer. I've been doing that for better part of my entire career, mostly helping leaders really uncover their potential, and not only uncover their potential, but then looking around to see, well, who else is out there, and how can I develop others as well? And so I started in the corporate environment for about 25 years. I spent there doing everything, but mostly I placed myself in positions of developing others. So I was a trainer for many years, training leadership, and then I pivot to do sales training, which I just love, because the sales training was being more creative, right? How do you create programs and get people excited? And then that led to sales management, just really learning other aspects of the job or of my personality that they weren't my strength zones, right? So becoming analytical wasn't in my strength zone. And so I realized back then, and that's why I focus on potential. I focus on that first, because I have potential, but I don't think anyone saw that. Right. I think I was the one pushing myself and proving myself that I can do that work. And there was times I didn't, I applied for the job and didn't get it. And so there was other areas I needed to improve upon. But I think that's what I love most, because people fear they have some fear and they may not reach their potential because of that.
Oh my
So
goodness. Yes. Yes. We've got to dive into that. So let's start with that. What was that? What was the biggest mindset shift you had to
Mhm.
make in order to really accept and believe that you had the potential
Mm,
you first understood you to have? Because I know our
mhm.
potential grows, right? The more we work on these
Absolutely.
mindset issues, the more
Mhm.
another door opens to another mindset shift that we can have. It doesn't stop. So what
It
was that
never
first mindset
stops.
shift? Yeah, what was that first that
So,
really made you
right.
realize you have the potential?
Well, I went in for a promotion, and it wasn't a promotion. It was I was interviewing for a promotion, and I felt that everyone around me wanted another person to get it, just by their verbiage and what they were saying. And so I went in for the first interview and completely sabotaged it. Completely. Started sweating, rambling. I couldn't, I wasn't concise. I just remember his face looking at me like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And I walked away, and I was aware enough to know that I wouldn't even hire me. I wouldn't even hire that person across the desk. So I knew I needed work there. And it was work settling myself down, like really understanding that I can do this, but I need to prove to him that I can do it. So that person took the job and 2 months later gave notice. And I called him up and it was like, ring, ring. It's like, it's me again. And I'm interested in that position. And he's like, I bet you are. And then I showed up differently. I showed up calm. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? I don't get the
Yeah.
job
Yeah.
again.
It already
So
happened.
what,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
It already happened. And so I showed up calm, and in this calmness, I was able to articulate what I wanted to say. And then I put that together. It's like, Evelyn, you just have to remain calm, and when you're calm, you can speak, and you can. When you're nervous is when all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
And it just, nothing makes sense. And even in being a guest on a podcast, I have to like really like calm, calm, because then you could just lean in and be yourself. And I,
Yeah.
and I feel I can teach that now. I could teach people to be themselves and be open. And that's the potential part that comes in, right? Because then after that, I realized, oh, this is such a great tool. It's just being
Yeah.
calm so I could be myself.
Wow.
Well,
And so did
yeah.
you get the promotion that second time?
Yes, yes, I did. He
Yay.
even made a comment. He even said, "You're so calm." I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? So I could be able to tell you what I'm about. In like, if we were just having a conversation, you even said that, like, we're just having a conversation. And that's
Yeah.
the key. It's like you're having a conversation with anyone, and people who make you nervous is like,
Mhm.
why
Yeah.
there's another way to manage that.
Yeah, and I hear you, and that's a beautiful story because really, until I reached the point where I had zero expectations from the conversation.
Mm,
So, like in sales, I do this because I'm not going for jobs,
mhm,
right? So I'm an entrepreneur.
mhm.
So it
Right,
you
right,
could
right.
say that when I'm going to
Mhm,
have a discovery call with a client, potential client, that's kind of a job interview, right? But
mhm,
when I finally realized that every single conversation I have zero expectations that there's going
mhm,
to be an outcome to that that's favorable to
mhm.
me. Like I'm going to make a sale, or I'm going to make so much money, or I'm going to get introduced to a
Right.
person, or whatever that expectation is. Once I remove that, that's what makes
Mhm,
me calm. That's what makes me
mhm,
able to just have a conversation and and I'll tell you, Evelyn, when I finally did that, my closing percentage just
mm,
tripled
mhm.
Seriously, I went from like closing
Absolutely.
10 to 20% of the people that I talked to closing like 70%, because I have
Right.
zero expectations. I'm not coming in
Mhm.
with a purpose to convince them of something. And I'm
Right.
not tied to that outcome. When you tie yourself
Right.
to that outcome, then you start getting nervous when it doesn't start going your way.
Mhm.
And you're not
Mhm.
being genuine. You're not really being
Right.
genuinely helpful to the person. So, wow, that's amazing for you to be able to have that level of calm and to have those statistics, to see the first time you went for that interview, you were nervous and you didn't get it and you were sabotaging yourself, to the second
Right.
time for the exact same position within a couple of months,
Right.
the tone completely changed. So
Mhm.
what did that allow you to do next? What did that set you up for in a mindset shift the next one?
First of all, I love your example, because for years and years, that's what we trained. It was training a mindset, right? It was training frontline people to have a dialogue with their customer, and just add value and find out their needs, and you know and have that discovery call, and if they buy, great. But it was so I love that example, because that is really the key to it, to that. For me, I felt like I could now, like, especially that hiccup, what happened, I call it a hiccup, right? The
Mhm.
fear factor of doing anything new. It's helped me, like, help people kind of cross that threshold. And so, for instance, as a coach, I'm going into a contract right now, and it's this brilliant young director, but she feels probably anxious, maybe wants to do well, and is I'll find out more and more, like when we have our discovery call, what that looks like, because this was a package that was purchased for her. That's a whole different story. But anyway, she will, as we're going through this, I can see like that first layer of like, how are you communicating? And we can then dissect this into layers. Like, how are you communicating? What's your communication style? How do you communicate with others? How do they communicate with you? Is there a connection? And because probably if she's not being herself, kind of going back into that potential, if she's not being herself, then she may be guarded. She may be, uncomfortable. And you could sense that. That's like that sales call. You could sense when
Yeah.
someone is trying too hard or pushing, and so in my coaching, I could really see that and help them through it. So I always say it's like we can, as a trainer, I can teach you things, right? So I'm going to teach you how to ride a bike, and perhaps there's a PowerPoint involved with that. Perhaps there's dialogue, and then most training kind of stops there, and the most important part hasn't even happened, where it's like, okay, let's, like, now you have a bike, let's go outside. Okay, so I'm gonna now help you ride this bike. I'm gonna have one hand on the steering wheel, or the handlebars, and I'm gonna have the other hand on your seat, and I'm gonna run with you. Right? So as a coach, I'm running down, so making sure you get your balance, making sure that you're at a good speed, that you're at the good headspace to for me to let go. And then it just doesn't stop there, right? It comes back, like, how did that go for you? So it's all the coaching process. So I feel that those experiences before really taught me, like, I feel everyone has the potential. So they either need a skill, and then how do they develop it? And the gap between knowing and doing, I know the coaching part is the gap. So you could get the information how to ride a bike, but you're not going to be able to ride a bike until you practice. That's a skill. You go out there, and then you just do it faster if you have a coach. Like you could stumble through it and get fall and ride the bike. But I feel that with a coach, it's seamless. You could get to your goals faster. And so that's how it's helped me kind of help others in this process.
Wow. So, excuse me. So thinking about that one instance where you were nervous, you didn't know what to say, you kind of sabotaged yourself. Now that realization that you are able to fill that gap. And I agree with you 100%. There's a gap. And sometimes that's a chasm, or at least it feels like a chasm. Then Evel Knievel have to jump over it. And those young people know who Evel Knievel is, go look it up. It's a chasm, and some of them, it really is crack. And we just need that one thing to push us over, and we can really secure that gap. Wow. So now that has helped you coach others through that gap, gap that will allow them to get there faster. And I agree with you. A coach, a mentor, a mastermind, all those basically.
Absolutely.
That's what it does, right?
That really is what it does, because it makes, you may be thinking this and maybe you're thinking there's more, there's that tug. And when you're out mastermind exploring it, I mean, I know when we were in our mastermind, something came up for me that was like, cover the price of admission, because it wasn't in my awareness. I wasn't thinking of that. And it totally still, that potential is just me continuously stepping into this potential. And what came up for me was, I'm a DISC consultant and trainer, right? But I was doing everything regarding DISC. And DISC was just a tool that I used, but I knew it was me bringing that to life, right? Really then looking at it very differently. And I think someone said in the mastermind was something like, hey, you're hiding behind this tool, or something similar to that. And I had to walk away thinking, well, am I like, I'm thinking I'm conscious of what I'm doing and the steps I'm taking, but there's always some underlying unconscious behavior going on. And, that's that saboteur sometimes that is keeping you playing small. and at that moment, it's like, okay, I get it. I need to really step out. I'm not stepping out enough. So even in my journey, this still continues, and I don't even know what I don't know. Like there's more to uncover. And so I feel I'm ahead enough to help others that I see can join. And then I'm open enough to continue to grow. Like you said, it doesn't end. Sadly, there's no finish line. We have to continue growing, but there's just like, you start uncovering it. And you mentioned that right before the call. It's just peeling that onion. It just continues, and just learning more about yourself. And there's just so much to learn. So I love the journey, though sometimes it is uncomfortable. Get comfortable with the uncomfortable feelings that we have, right? I'm sure you've gone through that as well.
Absolutely. Okay, hold on. If your mindset was shifted, you were inspired to innovate, and you were spurred into action, don't just move on with your day. Focus, my friend, and take a few minutes to visit CEOmischiefmaker.com to learn more about the value that was shared with you today. Please act now and create some CEO mischief of your own.